Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can stop hanging out in your own head and getting stuck and stop being the best kept secret in your industry. You ready? Let's go. So, do you give your power away is what we're going to be looking at today. Understanding the three kind of core areas that you can look at and make sure that you are staying in control of yourself and how you react to situations. We're gonna be talking about control versus influence. We're gonna be talking about how you control your reaction to your own thoughts. And then we're gonna be looking at how to release things that are outside of your control. So if you're ready to come on this journey, let's go. So first things first, I want to talk about what you can control versus what you can influence. And this is a really important concept to understand when you are thinking about how you show up in the world, because it's very easy to let things outside of our control impact how we show up in the world. We are programmed to try and stay safe and try and stay within a tribe, and that means staying the same as other people. So we have a natural tendency to want to compare and look at other people and say, am I the same? Am I similar? Am I enough to stay in this place, tribe, community, whatever it is? So the really important thing to understand is that you are able to control yourself and your own reactions. You are able to control the decisions that you make and how you show up in the world. And in that moment when you think, oh, I need to post that thing on social media for my business, but I'm scared, rather than letting the fear take over, you can make the choice to post it anyway. To move through the fear and do it anyway. Remember that instinctively fear was there to keep us safe and to keep us alive. But what we need to remember now is, in this day and age, a lot of the time when fear is triggered, it's trying to keep us safe in the sense of within a community. And sometimes we are looking at the wrong community. We're looking at the wrong group of people. And that means that we're keeping ourselves small, or we're dimming our light, or we're not showing up as we should because we're worried that we won't be able to stay safe and stay in that community. So when that fear comes up, that fear is very real. I don't want to dismiss it, but it's really important that we can make our decision and say, actually, I'm going to move through this fear and take this action anyway, because I know deep down it's the action I want to take. So I'm not going to let fear stop me. So you are always in control of the actions you take, of the way that you show up in the world, and that is through being able to manage your emotions, manage your thoughts, and manage the actions that you take. So we'll talk about that more in a moment. But this idea of control versus influence, you can only influence other people. You cannot control other people. So getting caught up on, whether people will like you, or, whether people will buy from you, or, how people will interpret you, you absolutely cannot get caught up on that stuff. And, giving you guys an exact example, I will have people contact me and say to me, I absolutely love how honest you are. I love how you talk about your mistakes on your Instagram stories. I love that you swear. I love that you do all of these things. And then from the very same post or story that I put out, I will get another person that'll message me and say, I just wanted to let you know I'm going to unfollow you. I think it's really unprofessional when you swear on your stories, or, talk about your dog, or talk about your mistakes. Like, how can I see you as an authority when you talk about your mistakes all the time? And that's absolutely fine. Both of those reactions are absolutely fine, because I am only for certain people. So what I'm not able to do is I'm not able to let that negative comment control how I then show up in the world. And that's what I want you to think about. What is within your control and what is just an influence? And what are the things that are completely outside your control that you need to stop caring about? One of my favorite things that I always say is, how do we give less fucks? And that is what this is about. Things that are outside of your control are outside of your control, it doesn't matter. Things that are inside your control, yourself, your emotions, your actions, how you move through the world, that is what you need to give all of your focus to. So really focus on that idea of what's inside your control, what's in your influence, and then what is outside of your control that you just need to let go of. Now, we're going to talk about this idea of your thoughts. So when we look at an actual thought, this falls into two categories. So it is completely outside of your control, the type of thought that comes into your mind. So you might see something on Instagram and it might trigger you, or somebody might say something to you and it might trigger you. And when that trigger happens, the thought that pops into your head is outside of your control. Okay? It's an automatic reaction from everything that's stored in your subconscious, all of your previous traumas, all of your previous experiences, you know, things that have been said to you before, how you've interpreted them, the lens you look at the world, like it's all there. And over a long period of time, we can start to do work to heal that and change the lens. But in the moment, when it happens, the thought coming into your brain is outside of your control. Okay? The thing that is within your control is what you do with the thought once it lands. So, in one of the earlier videos, I spoke about the fact that you need to be able to manage your thoughts. You need to be able to say, I'm not thinking that today, I'm not having that conversation today, I'm not dealing with that today. You know, it's not something I'm giving my energy to. And that's brilliant, like it's great, but it's really important to understand how we do this. So let's dive into our second point, which is around how do we actually take a thought that's landed and then use it in the best possible way. And the concept here that we want to look at is how do we become more aware of our thoughts? So checking in with yourself and actually asking yourself on a more regular basis, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Is this something that I want to be thinking? And when you first start doing this, you might stay stuck in the thought for, you know, half an hour before you suddenly pull yourself out and think, oh, I don't want to be having this thought, okay? Once you do this more and more and more, you will get really good as the thoughts land, you'll think, no, we're not doing that today. Now, loads of people have spoken about different ways of doing this. So if you look at somebody like Gabby Bernstein, she talks about free writing it out. When the thought comes up, free write it out, get it all out of your system, and then choose again. When you look at somebody like Mel Robbins, she talks about verbally stopping the thought. So saying, like, I'm not having this thought, like we're not having this internal conversation. No. Basically, you talk yourself out of it and say, no, we're not doing that. And what I want to say to you is give both of those a try and see what works for you, because everybody is different. So I like to actually combine those two methods. So I like to do the verbal, like, no, I'm not having that thought from Mel Robbins, but then I like to do the choose again. So positioning a new thought for my brain from Gabby Bernstein's Super Attractor book. So it's just about building your own process that works really well for you. Okay, so those are your first two. Looking at what is control versus influence, and then how do we actually manage that thought that comes up. Okay, so the final thing that I want to talk to you about is how do we release things that are outside of our control. It can be really difficult when things are outside of your control and you feel like you're kind of spinning out. You're feeling like, you know, I'm putting in all of this effort and I'm not getting the results that I want, or, you know, I'm doing all of the things that I think I need to do and I'm not getting the result, and it's always because of things outside of your control. I've recently had COVID a couple of months ago now, and it was completely outside of my control how that affected me. When I got my first positive test, I thought, this will be fine, you know, I'm young, I'm quite healthy, I'm relatively fit, I didn't think it would affect me that badly. So many people have been saying it was just, you know, a little mild cold, they felt weird for a day or two. I was literally floored for 10 days, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't even think, couldn't move, couldn't read, like just had to sleep solidly. As a business owner, that really impacted how I could show up for my business. It impacted, you know, how I could show up and do marketing activities to get new clients. So when I came out of that month, I had to really sit back and say, actually, that was completely outside of my control. The only thing that I can look at is what I do now. And when things are outside of your control, it's really important that you acknowledge that and you say, okay, I've got the situation, it is outside of my control. So when I was in the COVID situation, I said it's outside of my control. The only thing that is inside my control is how I deal with the situation in the moment. So I asked my body, what do you need? And gave her exactly what she needed. Loads of rest, loads of good food, just literally just gave her everything she needed to get better. And this is what you can do in any situation. When it's something that is outside of your control, you can ask yourself, what do I need in this moment to feel more in control of my life? What do I have control over right now? And how can I move from a place of power? Rather than sitting and just saying, this never works for me, this never happens for me, I never get the result that I want. Rather than living in that place of victim mode, if you know the drama triangle, like living in a victim mode, it's about stepping into your power and saying, I am going to make the decision as to how I move forward from this place. This thing has happened. It wasn't what I wanted, it wasn't the outcome I wanted, it wasn't the reaction I wanted from somebody, it hasn't worked how I wanted. It is now outside of my control. The past is always outside of your control. It has happened. There's nothing you can do to change it. So asking yourself, what can I do to move forward in the best possible way? And that is where you're going to take your power back. You're going to put yourself back into a place of absolute power to lead your life and your business in the way that you want. Okay, I would love to hear which one of these 3 things resonated deeply with you. I'd love you to drop a comment below the video or come over onto Instagram and drop me a DM because I love hearing from you guys. If you are enjoying the content so far, please make sure that you like the videos and that you subscribe to the channel so that I can continue to give you more content on a weekly basis, and make sure that you check out the video description below for some other free ways that you can work with me. So I will chat to you guys soon.